Feels like everyone's coming over to my house. Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Yeboah, and I'm the Director of Graduate Student Life. And our Grad Life office exists to provide holistic support to graduate students. We get the handoff from grad admissions, and we walk alongside your programs, alongside with your faculty and program coordinators and the deans of your various schools, successfully on to program completion, ideally. That's our goal. So I think this 30-minute meeting is just some time to connect and find out about various campus resources, what our office does, and make sure you're well suited for your transition for arrival. Does that sound good? Okay, just because there's a lot of us on the call, let's see what Amy has said. Okay, oh, and I'm supposed to remind you that we are recording this call so that are able to listen to what we have to say. I love this. Okay, first I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about our Grad Life office. Our office consists of myself and our coordinator, Graduate Student Life Coordinator. Her name is Anna Chase. She's not on this call right now, but she works tirelessly to support incoming graduate students and graduate students just like we do. She handles a lot of the front lines, schedules appointments for our office, and so on. So you'll see her at orientation. She does a lot of the coordination of orientation and other event planning. She's just all over the place and a ton of fun to talk with and get to know. We also have 4 graduate student employees in our office that represent the 4 main areas of engagement. Those are campus life, international graduate students of color, and servant leadership. And those closely reflect the undergraduate student engagement offices as well. We just happen to house all 4 of them because we're a smaller school than the overall Wheaton College undergrad side of the institution. All of that can be seen. It's well laid out on our website, which I've chatted it to you right there, but it is wheaton.edu/gradlife is the shortcut way to get there. You'll learn more information about us there. I think we wanted to jump right into housing, I think is a big concern right now, maybe. Okay, so I chatted a link right here called offcampushousing.wheaton.edu. So basically in the past, we had a housing list that landlords in the area would submit their units to, and you could access that through our housing office. Now we've moved to this platform, which will over time become a centralized place for people to post their places and people to find places to live. It's now being populated because it's rather new. We just launched this about a month ago, and so this ideally will be the place to go. So if you click on that, it'll look very similar to some of the other housing sites you may have used for purchase or rent. And that is our formal channel for finding a place to live in the area. We also have informal channels, namely our Facebook group. And that you can join with your student ID and go to Graduate Student Life, Wheaton College Graduate Student Life in Facebook. And you'll find that grad students post looking for a roommate or a sublet or other thoughts about where to live, especially for those of you who are coming from further away, understanding what it means to say live in Chicago versus right in Wheaton, some of the suburbs like. Some of you may have questions about public schools or schooling options for children, how prices differ from suburb to suburb, what it means to have a car or not have a car during your time here, and all those questions. So those types of questions, grad students often like to engage with one another through our Facebook group informally. That's one way to connect. If you do not use social media, you can always reach out to Graduate Student Life at wheaton.edu. And we would be happy to answer any questions you have about where to live, what your options are, and that we can help you troubleshoot. Decision, particularly if you're moving as part of your transition here. I think I have a lot more that I could say, but I think it would be important to just open the floor for questions. So if you would like to utilize this, let's try this. Does everyone feel comfortable with that? Does that work? Okay, so if anyone has a question, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and I will look at your name and then you can unmute yourself and ask your question, okay? And also you can chat your question in the chat box and I can read it out. I don't know if I can see everyone at the same time. If you have a question and I'm not seeing you, please go ahead and chat it because I will see that just because I have multiple screens here. Anything else? I just want to tell you a couple of things about your arrival, about orientation. It's a wonderful, wonderful few days of getting to know one another. We have a really neat schedule typically lined up by now, which some of that has been on pause due to our global pandemic, but we are hopeful that we'll be able to proceed in some form with our usual convening on campus for a robust few days of getting to know the campus community, getting to know one another, and learning more about your academic programs. Part of that orientation is time to get to know both people within your program, cross-departmental collaboration and relationships, which is one of the things that I think makes the Wheaton Grad School unique and fun, is that we have all kinds of events that draw people together from across the programs. And what that does, in addition to developing more meaningful relationships with people that you might not typically cross paths with during your time here, is that it also allows for the exchange of ideas among different disciplines. So theologians will get together with psychologists and educators and pastors and ministers to discuss difficult topics and relevant ideas in society. And it becomes a really neat place to foster community through the various disciplines that we are informed by and some of our ideas are shaped by. So we also, I'm watching as I talk for any questions. We also are intentional about fostering diversity in community, and that is both racial and ethnic, gender diversity, different people from different sexual and gender orientations, and different able-bodied, socioeconomic level, whether you're married or single, whatever it may be. Everybody comes to this place with very different experience, and those matter for how we live in community with one another and are formed into the servants and scholars that God has called us all to be. So you'll watch for events. We have panels quarterly, and we have different conversations going on, lots of different events together with people across the different programs to share ideas as well and foster community that way. I see a question. If you're trying to find a roommate, I would definitely say that the Facebook page is a wonderful place to start. That's where I see the most dialogue around just making those informal connections. Yes, that should work out really nicely for you. Great question. Okay, I think that's our only question. Yeah, I'm gonna scroll. I want to see if we can find out who's coming from the farthest destination. Does anyone want to try to compete for that? Put a chat here. All right, Zane, where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Washington State.
Okay.
I also had a question too.
Yes.
So online it said that the single grad student apartments were $3,105 per semester. Is that per student, I'm assuming?
It is. Yeah, so it is. I usually don't answer technical questions about on-campus housing because thank you for asking that. I happen to know it is, but I'm not an expert in on-campus housing details, but you can email Elizabeth Clark. You might have already heard from her. I would put here, I could tell you some of the benefits of living on campus are that they're furnished. Well, they're furnished. They're obviously close by. Internet is already done. You don't have to pay bills. There's quite a few benefits to living on campus. Some students prefer to, some students don't. We sent out this past spring, we sent out a survey to all of our graduate students trying to find out whether more grad students desire to live on campus, or would if, they weren't full up. Obviously most of our housing is designated for undergrad students. And I think what we found is that the price point for living on campus, you can find it cheaper if that's what you're looking for. The most affordable way to live as a grad student, whether you're single or married, is in somebody else's home typically, whether that's a semi-private or shared space. But then there's other apartments and that, types of units, whether they're full houses around or off campus. So there's definitely benefits to living on campus. We don't have near enough space for everybody to live there. But some choose to, some don't for various reasons, whatever your priorities are. But questions about on-campus housing can go to the campus housing. Elizabeth Clark, let me chat it here, is her name, and she'll be able to help connect you with that. All right, let's see. President, President in Geneva area, me too. Okay, that's wonderful. Louisiana, Washington State. Okay, for those of you who are coming, it's possible that you'll be finding places to live sight unseen. Sometimes I meet graduate students on campus who have come for a visit and will leave and return again in August. But it's definitely an interesting transition to move from across the country. And so we recognize that. One other thing I want to say about your arrival here is the Corinthian CoOp is a ministry that is amazing, quite frankly. And if you're not familiar, it basically functions as a resale shop or a thrift store here on campus, but it's free. Get there, but they really do a wonderful job setting grad students up for their transition when you visit. Kim Walton is the wife of one of our BIF faculty, John Walton, and she just does a phenomenal job trying to meet the needs of students during their arrival through making these used and donated clothing and goods accessible and available. So make sure you check out the co-op when you arrive. It's right on College Avenue in a building right next to the football field. A lot of Washington dates for grad student orientation. That will be, oops, I need to check my calendar real quick. That will be Monday and Tuesday just before classes. So I should know that, shouldn't I? Someone might be able to figure that out before I can. The dates for our orientation will be the 24th and the 25th of August. Okay. Because classes then start the 26th according to my calendar. Yes. So our orientation schedule, to be honest, this is all assuming we can proceed as normal without COVID-19. I do not know yet how this will be impacted, but typically we've started a Sunday evening party, we started that last year, which was a ton of fun. A lot of grad students came out. We had a live DJ, and it was just a wonderful chance before classes started to have fun, eat food, get to know people again across the programs. It was one of my favorite nights of the year. It was so much fun. And then Monday morning, we jump right in with an orientation session where you'll hear from the dean of the graduate school, myself, the president, Chaplain Greg Anderson, and hear just more about the graduate school through an all group session. We'll have breakout sessions and lunches looking at topics with speakers like Dr. Sheila Caldwell, our Chief Intercultural Engagement Officer. And then you'll have time to break out into your various programs and have lunch with your programs and learn more of the content that's unique to your various programs and within your schools. That's all day during Monday. And then we resume again on Tuesday with library orientation, more lunch events, get to know the Graduate Student Council. They're an elected body that seeks to represent you to the institution and assess the needs of graduate students across the programs. And then we end with a picnic, a grad school picnic, which is for all families and children. So not just grad students, but you get to invite your families if that's relevant to you. And it's just a wonderful time to celebrate and get to know each other informally before classes start on Wednesday morning. Also during orientation, there's opportunities to connect with Nancy Mathewson. She'll help you with your registration, possibly Tristan O'Brien with financial aid services and student ID cards and anything else you need to set you up well for your graduate experience. So mostly all day, Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. Does anyone else have any more questions? Good question on the class schedules. My understanding is that you will receive an email from Nancy Mathewson about your course registration and during that window. So Nancy will have drop-in hours, office hours to help you out if you have questions, but I would watch for an email from her before then to see whether you can get a head start. It's often you'll be working also with your program coordinator to figure out what classes you want to take. But Nancy Mathewson is a huge resource. Let me chat her name here just so you know, in terms of the timing of when you'll actually register for your classes. That's a really great question. Oh, that's my favorite question. That's a grad life question. Okay, opportunities for engagement. There's a lot. And there's room to grow. So our office has regularly scheduled events throughout the year. Those are listed on our website. And there's also room to develop student interest groups, whatever is interesting to you. So our regular scheduled events, we have, I mentioned it briefly, but we have quarterly diversity panels where faculty from across the programs, thanks grad admissions, from across the programs meet about a topic. So we talked about denominational diversity, we've talked about political diversity. We actually had our panel on sexual and gender identity diversity that was canceled due to COVID. So we'll probably reschedule that for the fall. So those are quarterly. We have our Grad Life Week, which we actually just finished. That's in the spring of each year. We're going to have a homecoming weekend and event, opportunities to get together around some of our sporting events, assuming we'll be gathering for sporting events. And we have our quarterly church visits, where we visit a church and have lunch with the pastoral staff to dialogue about issues of faith, race, and justice in our communities. We have the Graduate Student Council puts on a coffee break regularly. And one of my favorite events is our weekly Grad Chapel. That happens every Wednesday at 10:30. Since March, we've gone online with that, and that's been a lot of fun. And actually, I just learned yesterday that we'll be continuing our Grad Chapel throughout the summer. So you can join us, all of you can join us, it's on YouTube, to continue to fellowship together. It's a lot of fun. We can chat just like this with our comments and hear, from the Word of God and grow together. Those chapels will, of course, resume in the fall, Wednesday mornings in Barrows Auditorium. It's a wonderful opportunity to get together and be encouraged and strengthened as we grow in our faith together. We also have events for students of color on campus, and we have events for international students as well. So more informally, we have student clubs and student organizations. Student clubs can be formed at any time by any student who's interested in gathering with other grad students around a shared interest or hobby. There's a biking club that I would love to see continue because we have a wide network of biking trails in the DuPage County area. It's just a wonderful place to bike during the summer and fall. Clubs can start and form at any time. They're very informal. And then organizations are more long-term and meant to be sustainable. So we have an organization called 1 in 3, and that's based on promoting and raising awareness and advocacy for victims of gender abuse. That's run by one of our HDL students. it's a phenomenal group. They're doing all kinds of important work on campus. We also have an international organization that's promoting the needs and interests of our international student population. So if you're interested in starting either a club or an organization, just visit Grad Life under Campus Life and click on the link there. In terms of an organization for domestic violence, that might dovetail well with 1 and 3. So I would, Laura, do you mind if I send you an email? Where's Laura? Awesome. That's a great question. And I will connect you with Joy with the other group, because if there's room to grow an organization for domestic violence, I would absolutely support you in that and make sure you get everything that you need to do something like that. That would be significant. So let's say, yes, let's proceed and we'll talk further. So regarding the question about the unknown related to COVID-19, that is a very, very difficult question. All questions related to August are very difficult for me to answer. And the reason is I don't know. However, we are continuing at this point to plan and proceed for the fall as much as possible, meaning that I would recommend continuing to search maybe for a roommate or look at different places to live. It is really tough to advise that students enter into long-term leases or anything like that. I don't want to advise that you not do that, but it's a very, very difficult unknown. I do know that is our hope, of course, to convene on campus in the fall. But I would encourage you that more information will be coming out soon. So, as soon as possible. So I would continue to look and keep that in mind. Dialogue on the Facebook group is wonderful as a head start. But hopefully we'll be able to provide I know that we'll be able to provide the information that we need, the decisions that the institution needs to make. They're meeting regularly, discussing with other colleges and universities across the US about what to do and guidance in terms of Illinois specifically. So it's just a tough question to answer, but always you can email graduate.student.life if you really are, maybe you found a place and you just don't know whether to jump on that lease or not. We may or may not be able to give definitive advice, but having someone to just talk it through with might be helpful and alleviate some of the anxiety surrounding the unknown. So we're here for you, even if we don't have direct answers today. We might have more answers tomorrow or even next week. This is great. This is great. Thank you, Donald, for your comment there. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. We saw the comment about faculty members will help you with your class schedule. That's what I was hoping to hear. That's wonderful. And yeah, this is exciting. Yeah, we're almost out of time, but I think if I could reiterate one thing is that we're excited. We're so glad you'll be joining us. I absolutely love the Wheaton College Graduate School. It's a wonderful place to be. It's in my opinion, it's small enough that you can form deep and lasting relationships if you just choose to engage. For anyone who, for any reason, finds it difficult to engage, there's people you can reach out. I think it's a very welcoming community. Relationships are really important to what we do. There's opportunities to get involved. And I'm going to definitely promote the Graduate Student Council. We always need people who are willing to step up in leadership roles and run for these elected positions. They're important. So you'll hear more information about that in the spring. Yeah, I think, if anyone has any additional questions, please feel free to reach out, send an email to graduate.studentlife@wheaton.edu or join our Facebook group and watch us also on Instagram. There's a lot happening. It's a lot of fun. It's an exciting place to be, and we're glad you're here. And I can't wait to meet you all at orientation. Okay? There's my email. Okay, signing off now. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope this has been as fun for you as it has been for me. Take care and God bless.